Namaste and salam from Abu Dhabi. If you're watching Iran right now and thinking that this makes no sense or it's too complex to understand, you're not alone. On one hand, you have mass anti-government protest and a brutal crackdown that's happening. On the other hand, you have this huge pro-government rallies, images that meant to say that the regime is standing strong. So which is true? Is Iran rising up or rallying behind the regime? The fact is, both can be true. Over the past 2 weeks, protests have spread across Iran and reports have described a severe crackdown. More than 2,000 people have been killed so far, according to activists and media reports. The internet blackout continues in Iran, while some phone lines are partially open and people are able to make calls. So let's look at what's happening in Iran and why this contradiction. Iran is a country of 80 plus million people with a political system that has built multiple layers of loyalty, fear, dependency, ideology, and nationalism over decades. So when you see protests, you are seeing one kind of political energy. I'm talking about the anti-regime protest. There's anger, frustration, economic desperation, and of course, courage and defiance of people who have decided they have nothing left to lose. They've had enough of this regime. They've had enough of the repression. For many protesters, this anger is deeply economic also. There is political anger and frustration, but it is also rooted in the economic issues. Iran's currency has collapsed. Inflation has wiped out savings. Daily life has become unaffordable. And many protesters hold the government directly responsible for mismanagement that has worsened the impact of sanctions. So in their view, sanctions did not fall from the sky. They are the result of political choices made by the current regime, because the current regime, according to them, chose confrontation over compromise. And corruption and mismanagement, all of that have made ordinary people's lives miserable. So there is political frustration, there is social frustration over these rigid laws, especially when it comes to compulsory hijab laws, but there is also deeply rooted economic hardships. But on the other side, now let's look at the pro-regime rallies. So then you get another impression about Iran. These regime rallies, that some of them are genuine support for the government. Some of it are, of course, organized mobilization. And the state is projecting a message that they have mass support of the people, that they are in full control. So who are these people showing up for the regime? Iran has organizations and networks that can mobilize people quickly. Public sector workers, institutions, patronage networks, and of course security agencies. Meaning the regime has a turnout machine. If they want people on the streets, they can do it with the flip of a finger. So a pro-regime rally is definitely a show of strength for the government. Some Iranian people genuinely believe the Islamic Republic protects Iran's sovereignty and religious order. For many families, the system is not just an abstract concept. The state is not an abstract concept. The deep state is an employer offering income, stability, and social mobility. So loyalty is sometimes ideological because they believe in the current order, but sometimes it is also economic. Sometimes it's both. Aren't these people also impacted by the economic crisis? Yes, they are, but they see it differently than from the protesters. So many pro-regime supporters believe Iran's economic collapse is not a failure of the system or the government, but it is the cost of standing up to America. For them, hardship is because of the state's resistance to the US. So nationalism and external pressure are other important factors. When Iranian leaders frame unrest as foreign-driven, it can trigger a particular sentiment which says, let's rally around the flag. That's the sentiment these people have. And this is particularly significant when international pressure on Iran mounts. Like as we see now, the US is threatening of military intervention. Even Iranians who are critical of the government can still reject foreign pressure. You can oppose the system, but also oppose outside intervention. That tension often weakens protest movements rather than strengthening them. There is also a generational divide at play that we cannot ignore. Younger Iranians see a future slipping away. Older supporters remember war, revolution, and the survival. But the same hardship carries very different messages and meanings for this younger generation. They want to live a life of freedom and liberty. So what's really happening here is a war over legitimacy. Protesters want to show that the state has lost public support. The regime wants to show that we are still the nation. Now there's another factor that adds to the complexity, that is the US rhetoric. President Donald Trump has publicly encouraged Iranians to keep protesting and suggested that help is on the way. His administration is weighing options. It could be a military intervention. This kind of messaging does two things at once. One, it energizes protesters, but it also gives the regime a ready-made storyline that this protest is foreign-backed. So every time Washington speaks, it can shift the internal balance inside Iran, giving the regime an excuse to go even harder against the protesters. Sanctions, repression, resistance, and nationalism are not all separate stories in Iran. They can collide, they can coexist, and they can also divide the country over who is to blame for these problems. Iran is not just one story. It is competing realities fighting for credibility. This is Anjana Shankar, and you're watching Ask. If you find this video useful, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you and see you again.